I'm here with the legendary creator of Hellboy, Mike Mignola. How are you doing today, sir?
So far, so good.
Your artistic style is one of the most recognizable in the industry. How do you decide that style was for you?
Well, it's not one of those things you arrive at, overnight. I've been doing this stuff for 30 years, so it's been 30 years of trial and error, and I really think it's only in the last maybe 10, maybe 15 years that I kind of felt like I knew what I was doing. So, yeah, it's just, 30 years of trying to refine it into something that didn't, make me physically ill to look at.
What goes through your mind when you create a new creature or monster?
Trying to come up with something different, trying to come up with something that's recognizable. I mean, for myself, I do have certain tendencies in the kind of creatures I design. So at this point, especially after 20 years of doing Hellboy, if I'm creating a monster, I got to put a little bit more thought into it so it doesn't just look like, Hellboy with bigger horns or Hellboy with spikes sticking out of his shoulder. The beauty of working with folklore and mythological type sources is usually there's something in there that gives some indication of what the creature's going to look like. So I hate to make them up from scratch. I like to deal with something that's got some basis.
What is your process for writing a story?
I wish I knew. It does seem to change every time. I bang the stuff around in my head when I think I've got it down. These days, I will usually write out all the dialogue, or roughly what I think the dialogue is going to be, and then make notes on what the action will be as I go along. In the old days, I used to just thumbnail the story and then do all the dialogue secondary, but I ended up with weird spots where either I didn't have enough room for the dialogue, or I had a whole scene of guys talking to each other, but I had no idea what they were saying. These days, the plot and the dialogue is maybe more important than it was 15 years ago. So I tend to start with all the dialogue, and then when I do the thumbnails of the actual story, that gives me room to kind of play around and kind of create scenes as I go. It's the kind of creative process, but I like to have the dialogue, at least a rough version of it, as sort of a skeleton when I thumbnail the story.
There has been mentionings about a third Hellboy film. Do you have anything to say about that?
I'm all for it. Yeah, I mean, it's very recent that Del Toro made some comment about wanting to do a third film. That'd be great. I know Ron wants to do it. I'd love to see it happen, so, I hope it happens. But right now, certainly nothing is in the works.
A little while ago, a little boy named Zachary asked to meet Hellboy through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. How does it feel that you've made such an impact with kids at that age and people in general?
Well, it's funny. I never even thought of that having anything to do with me. He wanted to meet Ron Hellboy from the movie, which I guess wouldn't exist without me. So that's kind of nice. I mean, I think it's great. It's so sweet, and it was such a great story. And I know I spoke to Ron about it. And he was so happy to do it. I couldn't be more thrilled that thing happened the way it happened.
Thank you so much for talking with us today. I hope you have a great con.
Thank you. Thank you very much.